Good afternoon. Before calling this meeting to order, I will note for the record that I will serve today as the acting chair for this meeting. And I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Upstate Empire State Development Corporation for Wednesday, July 30th, 2014. Almost the end of July. Hard to fathom. The directors have received written materials in advance of this meeting. They are free to ask questions at any time. As noted on the agenda posted to the Internet, we welcome public comment on the items on the following agenda. Hello, Maria. To ensure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes each, and those representing groups may speak for up to 4 minutes. One speaker, good afternoon, Charles,
Okay.
per group. Please, speakers' comments may address only items considered at today's meeting. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on today's agenda. If so, I would ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such an item. Sam, I guess that question is to you because I don't have a conflict of any nature with this item.
I have no conflicts with this item either, Kenneth.
Well then, the foregoing having been noted for the record, I will now ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the June 27th, 2014 Directors Meeting.
So moved, Kenneth.
I agree with you that the minutes look good, and I second it. Any questions, comments, additions, or deletions?
No.
And none from me, so I will thus entertain a motion for its approval. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions or objections? No. Hearing none, the motion carries and the minutes of our June 27th meeting are therefore approved. So, now we can turn to Jim Fail in our Central New York office in downtown Syracuse. And Jim is going to present our project for today, Sam, which is the St. Luke Health Services Upstate Regional Blueprint Fund grant item for our consideration. Good afternoon, Jim, whenever you're ready.
All right, good afternoon. The directors are being asked to approve a $466,000 Upstate Regional Blueprint Fund to assist in the construction and equipment of the St. Francis Common, which is a 60-bed adult home and assisted living facility on the St. Luke Health Service campus in Oswego, New York. The total project cost is $9,174,000, and this will lead to the creation of 33 jobs. And I would be glad to entertain any questions.
You know, Jim, this is maybe a question that I can, if you're not sure about, I can look it up later, discuss it with Susan Schaefer. When I looked at this earlier, I guess what the question I had, I see it's a regional council priority. What triggers or requires the use of the Upstate Regional Blueprint funds as the funding source? Why this funding source?
Well, this situation was a little unique in that our friends over at the Office of Community Renewal had asked for our help in this project. Quite frankly, the St. Luke had received some money through the OCR, which is federal funds for the CDBG block grant, and apparently the city of Oswego had made some administrative errors, I guess, for lack of a better word, on how they were supposed to do the public hearing, etc., for the CDBG funds, and as a result, Office and Community Renewals were not able to actually fund using the CDBG money because of the federal rules and regulations, and so they called upon us to see if there was any way we could help assist get some funding into this project. And as a result, Susan looked furiously through all the various sources and was able to find this amount of money left in the Blueprint Fund. And due to the nature of the project, our other funding sources were, this would be an ineligible use. We don't use, like our typical EDF funds, is ineligible to go for assisted living facilities, for straight housing. So that was why this particular funding source was identified and hopefully utilized.
Right. Well, good for Susan, because it's tough when it's a regional council priority, and your regional council members want to support, you want to support it, and it doesn't fit neatly with our programs. I mean, kudos to Susan for figuring out you could do it with Upstate Blueprint.
Yep.
Solves the problem, right?
Yes. Yes, it did.
The other thing, and again, this may be more of an internal question I could look at, but it's, $466,000 for furniture, equipment, furnishings, and it looks like, we've decided, or it's been decided, that you don't have to apply an MWB procurement goal to that. And normally in the Oswego area, not far from Syracuse, your office, is it this might not, you may not know the answer to this, and I can look it up, but I was curious to note that there's that this is exempt from an MWBE goal.
I apologize. I do not know why this particular project received such an exemption.
It was done by, we could check, by Elizabeth Gox, right? Must have made a determination, and it might be.
I'm just wondering if it was maybe predates when the MWB goals. Because this project did begin back in 2011.
Yep.
So maybe it was
It could be that, or it could be because it's. It could also be because it's healthcare, and it's very specific equipment, and so like it's $466,000 for a piece of machinery that is provided by a supplier that's not certified, that's non-certifiable, right? Like big company. I don't know. I flagged that, and the minutes can reflect that I asked the question, and that we'll get ESD staff to look into that. And basically, what I'll do is just check with Elizabeth myself. I'm just curious. But thank you, Jim. Sam, do you have any question for Jim about this project?
No, I think your questions gave a little more clarity to it, and I agree with you, Kenneth, that Susan's creative approach to finding the resources seemed to make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and you see this a lot in Western New York, Sam, as you know, and certainly in some of the Buffalo Niagara Falls projects. Not everything, especially regional council priorities, fall neatly into EDF, and EDF is a very limited source anyway. So actually, this is sort of good on two counts because it takes pressure off EDF, and we can, sort of comply with or satisfy the regional council's interest in the project. Well, thank you, Sam. If you don't have any other questions about what Jim's presented, I'll ask if there's any comments from the public on this item. If not, I'll entertain a motion for its approval.
So moved.
Thank you, Sam. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Very good. The motion carries and the grant is approved, Jim, and certainly give our thanks to Ray Lawrence, who I note is the originator, and congratulations to everybody involved.
Thank you very much.
Sam, I don't have anything else on my agenda this afternoon. I suspect you don't either.
You are correct, sir.
Well, there being no further business for us to undertake this afternoon, I'll ask you please for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Kenneth, I'm happy to submit a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'm happy to agree with that motion. So, we're done. Thanks, Sam. Thank you, Eileen, Colin, Mark, and everybody. See ya. I'll talk to you in a little while.